What is up, Bleacher Report gang? I'm Kurt Benkert, and we are back with another Monday morning quarterback show. Week 2 is almost over. We still have 2 more games tonight. We have the Bucks playing, we have the Texans, we have the Chargers, we have the Raiders. But week 2 had a lot of action, had a lot of things go kind of crazy in some games. Some games were really boring, some massive injuries, everything in between. It was a crazy week 2. And I think it's going to be really telling about what this NFL season looks like across the board. The top dogs are starting to get knocked off a little bit. Some of the other top dogs, they still look fine, but I think that the gap is narrowing between the really good teams and the teams that were kind of right there last year. And I really would say it's pretty much anybody's season to be had. And we've got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about the Chiefs. We'll talk about the Eagles. We'll talk about all those teams, but we do have to start this thing off. We have massive breaking news coming out of Cincinnati. Joe Burrow will indeed need surgery on his turf toe injury. And that is a minimum of a 3-month recovery. To be honest, I'm going to be very honest. I had the same exact injury when I was in the NFL, and I was probably 6 to 8 months before I actually felt like myself-ish again. And then I also will say, I was never the same player again. Now, my turf toe injury came in my right foot, and I'm a right-handed thrower, and I didn't realize how much power you need as a thrower in your big toe. Go, lo and behold, from what it does sound like it was potentially his left foot. 1 second, please hold. Looks like we're having some audio issues. I think we're okay. Now, it does look like it was his left foot, but we're going to have that fact checked. But what I will say is, man, absolute crazy that Joe Burrow is going to be out for the season, most likely. Also, let's see. They've got some options on the table of what they can do at quarterback. They obviously have Browning, who ended up winning them the game, but he threw 3 interceptions in the process. And there are other quarterbacks around the league that are potential trade options. You have Jameis Winston potentially. Some are saying Kirk Cousins potentially, which who knows what they might want to do. And I don't know, man. This is a really tough situation. They have Browning. He's familiar with the system. You can't just get a guy to come in 1 week and just learn everything and then just operate. So going the Jameis Winston route, going the Kirk Cousins route, that's more of a halfway through the season point if they want to do that. But there's no guarantee that that person even starts because Browning has won them games. He has thrown for a decent bit of yards. Even though he threw 3 interceptions yesterday, he did get them back into the game and won them the game. I don't know, but we'll find it out. We will find out soon. I think that the Bengals, with where they are, man, 2-0, pretty crazy. But we've also got to move on. We got to get into the game of the week, game of the year, potentially at this point in time. Let's talk about the Giants and the Cowboys. Also, quick little note, I will be getting live chat right here on my Microsoft Surface. We're going to be dialed in, all in this show, future shows, everything. I'll be watching my film on here. Also, really just one more time, thank you to the NFL for sending me this because this thing is elite. It will get me dialed in all season long, and I'll be able to get my film breakdowns right here, draw on it. It's going to be sick. Feels like I'm a coach in the league, except for I'm talking to you guys. But let's talk about the Giants, okay? We have the Giants. See, chat is rolling, by the way. Thank you guys so much for being here. The Giants lost in a heartbreaking fashion. Dallas almost lost in a heartbreaking fashion. But 2 quarterbacks that really balled out. We had Russell Wilson, 30 of 41, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Malik Neighbors went crazy. Scatterbo had a pretty good game. I think it was maybe Robinson was the other receiver that went pretty dummy too. George Pickens showing up for the Dallas Cowboys in critical downs, especially in overtime. Made some really big plays. Javonte Williams, awesome, almost 100 yards. And Dak Prescott got it done in the air, got it done with his feet. And what I will say after watching this whole game, remember the flow of this game. Dallas takes the lead super late. They go up by 4, okay? There's like 30-something seconds left or something crazy. Russell Wilson drops back and just throws an absolute bomb to Neighbors, makes a play. They take the lead with 25, 30 seconds left. But the Cowboys had Aubrey, okay? One of the best kickers in the league. I would say arguably the best kicker in the league. Drilling a kick to get them into overtime, then drilling the game winner late in overtime. This game was a shootout. There were fireworks all over the place. And if there was ever a theme for Russell Wilson, it was the moon ball and throwing it as high as he can, dropping it in, letting his guys make plays. But where it came down to the end to bite them and cost them the game is he threw an interception into essentially, it wasn't even double coverage. I mean, he threw it right to the safety. The receiver was nowhere near. It was double coverage, but that cost them. And you live by the big play, you die by the big play here in Dallas as New York lost. But this was an entertaining game, and I don't think anybody really expected this. And what I will say too, like this was the interception here, by the way. The Giants are close. Like they're really close. They're not terrible. Their defensive line causes havoc, but they were able to got in the run game a little bit, especially late in the game. Late in these games, especially when you get into overtime, it is really tough for these defensive linemen with the lack of conditioning that they're naturally not built for to sustain. And I don't know, man, this was a fun game to watch, watching the highlights back right now. But game of the year, week 2, Cowboys get it done. They get their first win. And if you look at this too, the Cowboys, they lost to the Eagles last week. It was 24-20. They barely win this game. The Commanders kind of slipping up against Green Bay. I'll be very honest, this division, even though the Eagles are the top dogs, feels very competitive. Like, I don't think that the Cowboys, they're not just going to roll over for Philly. The Giants D-line, they could be a problem. They got one of the best D-lines in the league. Now, it's the secondary that needed some help yesterday, but the Giants aren't just going to roll over for anybody. The Commanders still have good players. Game of the year came out of the NFC East, and the NFC East is going to be a tough division to play in and play against throughout this entire season. I see chat rolling. Thank you guys for being here, man. Seeing Browning is showing out. The chat's fake news. Brown. Listen, I'm going to talk about Browning for a second. When you go back and watch this game, which I encourage you guys to do, the difference in Browning and Joe Burrow is Browning gets the ball out a little bit quicker, and he's also willing to just rip it downfield. That's why he threw 3 interceptions. However, Joe Burrow holds on to the ball a little bit more, looks for the big play, the scramble from time to time, and then he'll take his shots. But Joe Burrow takes a lot of sacks. Believe, fact check me if I'm wrong, Joe Burrow leads the league in sacks taken over the past few years. Correct? Maybe, maybe not. I think so. I think that's the case. If you look at statistically offenses, right? Offenses have a hard time scoring points when they let up 1 sack in a drive. I think it drops down dramatically to like 7% chance of scoring. So if you got Browning out here throwing arm punts as interceptions or Burrow taking sacks and then them punting, it's kind of like a toss-up. I kind of respect Browning's willingness to just go out slinging. So that's where I'm at. I like Browning. I think he's going to be okay for the Bengals, and they're sitting at 2-0 right now. They can't be too upset. All right. Let's get into the next bit of chaos here in week 2, all right? Let's talk about the Lions. The Lions' dominance is what we're going to talk about first. They made a statement. They got embarrassed on television. They got embarrassed in Lambeau, in Green Bay, and they wanted to come out in their home crowd and make a statement to the coach that left them to go to the Bears. Now, the Bears look like they just lack talent that other teams seem to have. They also have an offensive line problem. They also just, I don't know, man. Like they started hot, then they didn't, and then whatever. Their defense was abysmal. The Lions did whatever they want. Jared Goff threw for 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and they were not able to get real pressure on Jared Goff and get him off the spot. And what we learned, which I think we've already known, the Lions have playmakers everywhere. They have a good offensive line. And when they can keep Jared Goff upright and not have pressure in his face where he's throwing errant throws, he's going to make them pay. And you saw the Bears secondary have busts all over the place. They're missing some guys. They have some injuries and whatnot, but they didn't even look competitive on defense. It looked like they put everything they had into last week's game. And this is what they will say in the NFL. Don't let last week's loss become a second loss. And that looks like what happened. The Bears let up a late fourth quarter loss against the Vikings. Terrible. Blew like minus 3,000 odds alive. And then they came out flat against the Lions and looked like they had nothing to play for. And so what I will say is the Lions, script-wise, true to tone, they got their playmakers the ball, they kept Jared Goff upright, and then their defense had fun. That was great. The Bears, it's going to be a long, dreary season if that's how it's going to go. And they just don't look like a unit. They don't look like a good team. They don't look like guys that play for each other at this point. But now we've got to talk about the second round of chaos because this game, the Broncos-Colts, The Broncos should have won this game. They had plenty of opportunities to put the nail in the coffin. But the Colts, though, I kind of love the Colts. I love that they keep fighting. I love that they play hard for each other. I love that they look like they're having fun doing it, and they're doing it the right way. And they gave them a sliver of a chance at the end of the game. But it was a little bit sketchy, in my opinion. Okay. The Broncos missed a not a game-winning field goal. They missed a field goal to put the lead 31-26, which would have led the Colts to have needing a touchdown to win the game. They had a leverage penalty that's a 15-yard personal foul because they put their hands on the back of the long snapper to try to get a little bit of height, which I think personally is a lame penalty. And not only does it give them a chance to re-kick a kick that they shanked and lost the game with, the Colts got to re-kick from 15 yards further up, drilled it, drained it, went home with the dub. The Colts are now 2-0. The Broncos are 1-1. And the ending was crazy. And I'm not going to lie. I think the Broncos deserved to win that game, but they also deserved to lose it with how bad they played down the stretch. And the Colts kind of got lucky. So that's what I got for you guys right now in that department. But also, chat, appreciate you guys being here, man. See you guys talking it up, both on YouTube, both in the app. It's been a fun stretch. We're only wrapping up week 2. We have so much more football to talk about all year long. It is going to be incredible. And I really love how the season is already feeling. See you guys rolling in chat. Appreciate that. They think they're going to trade Shedeur Sanders to the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals would be a better football team with Shedeur right now over Browning. You got to think, guys. You got to think. Did they? I don't know if you're saying it as if they should or saying it as if they did, but I don't think you can trust a rookie that hasn't played over a guy that has played and just won you the game. Like, they're not going to go make moves to get better in that situation. I do think it'd be a hell of a situation for Shedeur, but I don't know, man. This is a really unique situation. You got guys like Joe Flacco. You got guys, and again, Joe Flacco is a starting quarterback right now, but Brown's terrible, absolutely terrible. I'm seeing people asking for Tua, but then you're dealing with multiple contracts. Like, there's a slim picking of how you can navigate this because of the cap space, and I think the options are limited because of how handcuffed the Bengals are with paying Joe Burrow all of that money, knowing he has an injury history, and also knowing that you need to also pay guys around him for him to be able to perform. Joe Burrow, at the end of the day, guys, this is not beating a man while he's down. I've been saying this the entire time he was healthy. Joe Burrow is not who he is without the receivers that he has. He is not Josh Allen. He is not Lamar Jackson. He's not Justin Herbert, in my opinion. Joe Burrow is a very good, accurate, anticipatory quarterback that can throw the ball downfield if kept upright and if receivers can get separation. Joe Burrow cannot create on his own. He's not Jalen Hurts. He can't tuck it and run and take a beating and get them 80 yards on the ground in the game if that's the way the game script's going. And so I think there is a, flirting with fire a little bit when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow that you need guys around him for him to be able to perform. And also, he's not built like these 6'4", 6'5", 240-pound quarterbacks that can take a beating. He's missed now 3 of his 6 seasons, I believe, to injury. It's kind of what happens. And I just think that those were my question marks leading into this. This is not circling the drain. This is not trying to toot my own horn or any of that. But those were the question marks leading into, is this contract going to be worth it? And now it's tough to say because your cap is all swallowed up in one person that can't play. And that's where you're at. But let's move on. Wanted to answer chat a little bit. We got to talk about Kansas City. We've got to talk about Kansas City because as far as I'm concerned, the dynasty is over. They don't look like a good football team. I don't even think the Eagles played great football yesterday and they still won. And Kansas City just can't get it done right now. They have no explosive players on offense besides Mahomes. Hollywood Brown's fine, but he can only do so much. Travis Kelce looks like he's in year 15. Like, he's fine, but he's in year, like, you know what I mean? They have no run game at all. Like, they're running. I don't even necessarily think it's a running back situation as much as it is they're really bad at running the ball. There's no lanes for these guys to go through. And I don't know, man. You look at this kind of creeping in, and I'm not going to say, excuse me for my hoarse voice. I was at the University of Tennessee this weekend, cheering my head off. So I lost my voice a little bit, but the Chiefs are flirting with a potential 0-3 start here. They go and they play against the Giants now next week on Sunday Night Football. And the Giants went toe-to-toe with the Cowboys, putting up a lot of points. And the Giants, if you think that Eagles D-line gave them problems, the Giants D-line might even be playing better than the Eagles D-line right now. Like, this Giants D-line is a problem. I'm just going to say, sound the alarms. The red flags are here. I would not be shocked in the slightest to see the Chiefs start 0-3 in this season, because I don't think the Giants are just a team that anyone's just going to walk all over. And I think that it's a really tough matchup for how the teams are built. And I'm also going to say, if Russell Wilson's willing to just toss it downfield, I don't see guys in the back end of the Chiefs defense that are going to be able to handle that. They couldn't really control Devonta Smith down the field this past week in 50-50 balls. Neighbors is a whole different beast. Watch out for the Chiefs to fall to 0-3. Now, we do have to spotlight some quarterbacks. Hey, I see someone in chat said the Giants are ass. Chill. The Giants may be 0-2, but they're not ass. This is the NFL. The Giants aren't Panthers ass. The Giants are just 0-2. They've got good players. Like, they can win games. They can steal a game off of anybody. That's for sure. Would not be shocked. All right, let's talk about some week 2 quarterbacks. I want to shout out Mac Jones and the 49ers. They had me wrong. I thought the 49ers were going to lose this week. I didn't think they had enough juice in the tank to go into New Orleans, but they did. And Mac Jones to Christian McCaffrey. Mac Jones looked comfortable. He looked like he was able to operate the Shanahan offense. And this also goes back to show you, like, backup quarterbacks can get it done in the right situation. Look at that, ripping down the middle of the field, nice and easy. I mean, he's willing to stand in there and deliver, and he's athletic enough. He's not Brock Purdy athletic, but I think Mac Jones has a better arm than Brock Purdy. So it's a different offense, a different element. Mac Jones got it done. 3 touchdowns, 280 yards passing, great completion percentage. Like, the 49ers, and that was without Kittle. That's like, Kittle was Brock Purdy's main man. And the Saints defense historically is not terrible. They're actually pretty good most of the time. So Mac Jones, shout out. This makes me want to talk a little bit about quarterback contracts. Brock Purdy, $55 million a year. Backup comes in, gets the job done. Bengals, Joe Burrow, $55 million a year. Backup quarterback comes in, gets the job done. I just think that there's only a handful of quarterbacks, in my opinion, that are worth $55 million a year at this point in time. And those guys, in my opinion, are the names of Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and then there's a few others that I think you might be able to talk about. Maybe Patrick Mahomes, probably worth it. You have Jalen Hurts, who I don't think he's worth 55, but for that team, I think they value him at that because he can run. And then I think Justin Herbert is worth that money. Outside of that, all of these quarterbacks that are getting paid, teams are locking up their guys because of other reasons outside. They help with jersey sales. They help, like, they're the identity of the team, all this and that. But if you're just looking at production, I will say you can get quarterbacks on a budget that can go out and operate. I'm looking at Baker Mayfield. He was what, $10 million a year, and now he's $33 million a year. And then you have Sam Darnold. He was $10 million, and now he's $34 million. Like, if you're looking at the amount paid for a quarterback, percentage-wise of the cap versus production expected, and you also have to factor in the amount of assets that you need around them for them to get up to that point. Like, the only two that jump off the page for me, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those are the guys that could go to the Carolina Panthers today and help them win a football game. Everybody else, like, tough to get a really bad team over the hump unless you're one of those guys. But let's talk about Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson, look, everybody wanted to talk last week, Derrick Henry, this, that. Like, they all ran through Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry didn't do anything this game. He couldn't get going. But Lamar Jackson, when given a chance to air it out against a Browns defense, might I add, that is a problem. Like, this Browns defense worked the Bengals offense last week, and Joe Burrow, completely healthy Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson getting it done in rhythm, downfield, short, scrambling. He showed that he can win entirely with his arm on every different platform all across the board, and Lamar Jackson is the truth. And I love Josh Allen, but I still believe Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL. And I think that if Lamar Jackson can find a way to get 2 Super Bowls by the time he's done playing, people will talk about Lamar Jackson as the best quarterback to ever play the game in the history of football. He just has to get over the hump and get 2 Super Bowls. I'm not saying like one will get it done, but I think if he can get 2 Super Bowls, there will be an argument to be made about Lamar Jackson being the best quarterback to ever play football And that's all I have to say. Historically, statistically, all of it, he is the best as of right now in the regular season. Needs to get it done in the postseason, but he also needs help. Like, he needs his defense. He hasn't really had a great defense the whole stretch. Their defense is better this year. They're going to have to run back and play the Bills, but maybe they'll be able to sneak some games off and find a way to get home field advantage. But Lamar Jackson, he is number one of one quarterbacks, players in the league. He's the best player in football. I don't care what anybody says. You can make all the other arguments in the world. Lamar Jackson is the best player playing the sport right now. I just think he has to get over the hump so everybody else can start agreeing with him. But now we've got to move on to our very last segment. But first, let's get to chat. I'm going to refresh my chat here a little bit on my Microsoft Surface. Shout out to the NFL for sending me this. Bringing Copilot by Microsoft to the game, which is their AI integration, which I actually did an event with Microsoft a couple months ago. I went out to Seattle, got to talk with Mike McDonald from the Seattle Seahawks, their head coach. Great win this week, by the way. And they talked about how they're using AI with Copilot to assist in some of their scouting of the NFL Combine, which is pretty sick. See in chat, my Saints stink. Make no mistake. Respect. I'm seeing Jimmy G as a questionable trade. I'm going to tell you guys, I think right now Jimmy G is cooked. I don't think he's going to be an asset for anybody that's playing. Carson Wentz could be interesting, maybe, but I don't know if Carson Wentz helps the Bengals more than Browning does. Let's see. Agree about Lamar. Look, man, I'm a Lamar guy. Bird gang. All right. Let's get into the last section here. How did this happen? Cam Ward was a guy that from the very beginning, I had him as my 1-of-1 draft pick, best quarterback in the draft. Love what he brought to the table. And I have him mixed between a Mahomes meets Aaron Rodgers vibe. Watch this play and tell me you don't see flashes of Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers all in the same breath. 4-man rush, can make a guy miss, scramble around, throw all the way across his body. And how many times do you see quarterbacks throw that as a duck that's kind of like losing velocity? Not him. All the way across the field. That's easily 40 yards in the air across the field. And he's able to do this when you watch this back. Drops back, 4-man rush, knows he's going to have a little bit of time. He's got 6 in protection, slides in the pocket, eyes downfield the whole time, runs the hump, loses ground, keeps scanning, passer first. Look at how he flips his whole body in rotation, gets his arm all the way through to not let that ball die. Delivers an absolute dot all the way across the field. It was incredible. Cam Ward is here, and the Titans are close. They were in that game really, really, really close the whole time until the end. And the Rams, by the way, took the Eagles toe-to-toe last year down the line and got better this offseason. Like, the Rams are a good defense. They're a good team. And Cam Ward, against the Broncos defense last week, against the Rams defense this week, showing that he can make plays, and the Titans are close. The Titans, in my opinion, are going to be a team that by next year, after an offseason of more additions, maybe some free agents, I think they're going to become a destination spot for free agents, by the way. Now that they have a quarterback that they can vibe with, that they can latch onto, you will see guys wanting to sign with the Titans, not just because of Cam Ward. I think their team has potential. I know they need more guys. But you got to talk about state income tax too. No state income tax. It is a destination spot for free agents. You heard it here on September 15th on our Monday morning quarterback show. This offseason coming up, you will see a lot of free agent signings heading to Nashville in Tennessee to play with the Titans. But that's what we got for you guys, man. That is what we got. Thank you guys so much to chat for hanging out. Thank you guys for, oh my gosh, we're in chat now. The Giants. We've got some Giants haters in the chat. Tanner McKee, shout out as a backup quarterback that can get it done. I will say, if you're looking at production, I'm going to leave this with you. I'm going to leave this note for you. Look at production potential versus amount spent on quarterbacks, and just tell me there's not a discrepancy in how much guys are paid versus what a potential backup could be doing. And maybe I'm biased because I was a backup quarterback, but we see it week in and week out. Jake Browning got it done this week. Mac Jones got it done this week. Tanner McKee got it done last year and in preseason. Like, looks like he could be the guy. He got paid. I don't know, man. I don't know. Brock Purdy. Everybody was talking about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo back in the day. Brock Purdy was a steal for $1 million a year on his rookie contract. And now that he's making $55 million a year, I don't think he's so much of a steal. Like, I don't love that spending versus receiving. It's like buying something on a 90% plus discount and then having to pay full price for it. Like, I won't do that. I won't do it. My backup quarterback narrative is right. Thank you so much for agreeing with me. But that's going to be a wrap of the show. We will be live same time, same place every Monday with the Monday Morning Quarterback Show here on Bleacher Report. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get dialed in. Thanks to Microsoft for sending this in with the NFL. I'll catch you guys next time.